This is an interesting time. When you think about this pandemic, there's been constant information that's been changing, opinions everywhere. And it's created uncertainty and distrust. Who do we believe? What's really going on? And one sad aspect is created division in our country and the world. Here's what we do know. There are people who have suffered loss of a loved one due to COVID. There's been separation. People in retirement homes and in hospitals, they can't see one another. There's been a loss of jobs, loss of businesses. But with everything that's happening, I want to encourage that we as the church must remain unified. We must remain unified in Christ and around his mission. Now, as announced, Leadership Council met this past Tuesday with the goal of creating a strategy for reopening GBC's building. We've appreciated the prayers and encouragements that we expressed, and there's a strong unity on the final strategy that was agreed upon. But I want to be clear about something. This is not about opening up the church. The church is alive and well. It's active in our homes and our communities. The church has never been shut down due to COVID. This is about opening up GBC's building and Sunday morning worship. And in doing so, we have to look at both the short view and the long view. There are consequences to the actions that we take. But the larger question is, do we trust God? I mean, this is not random or meaningless. Let me share a story from my previous church that will hopefully explain this. One year we decided to host an Easter celebration at the community's holy site in Mannheim called the football field. And we went through the preparation. We went through this as a gift to the community. We contacted the people. We got permission from the right people. But the school superintendent publicly came out against us. And she did that in the New Era paper. Now, we had one group of people in the church say, well, we have the legal right, and we did. Let's just go do it. She can't tell us we can't meet. I says, well, why don't we sit down and talk to her? So we began a relationship, and we talked, and we negotiated, and we talked. And finally, she looked at me one day and said, listen, I'll agree to you having the Easter celebration at the football stadium on one condition. I said, what's that? She goes, that you don't take an offering. Now, what she didn't know was we had already decided, being a gift to the community, we were not going to take an offering. And so I said, yes. And she looked at me and says, really? I says, really? Now, I think it spoke volumes to what she thought the church was about. And she did come out that Easter celebration just to see whether we would or not. But that started a relationship with Mannheim Central School District that moved us to first having a chaplaincy program with the football team. Second, we had full access during school hours in the cafeteria where our youth pastors and youth leaders could go and sit down with students. Third, when a crisis hit, when several football players were killed in a tragic accident, they put us on the school website as a place from 4 to 8 in the evening to go for counseling, and we supplied the counselors. And we also supplied our facility for several of the funeral services as well. So if we would have pushed our way and said, you know what, this is us against them, we may have lost opportunities. But because we chose to try to negotiate and be Christ to someone who was opposing us, the long view, the future view, we just developed a whole lot more opportunities. So we need to take that into consideration. So here's our plan. And our plan is based on legal counsel. It's based on respect for those in authority. And with that in mind, we are going to be communicating this plan to the East Hempfield Police Department. We're going to communicate it to the East Hempfield supervisors, to the Lancaster County Commissioners, and finally the Lancaster City Mayor. And again, we're not asking for permission, but we're giving them respect and sharing our why. And we will be doing this within the next few days. But there's 3 phases to our plan. And there's a lot of watching, listening, praying, a lot of seeking counsel from other Christ followers and legal advice. We spent countless hours just on webinars talking about what this means to reopen. And we've seen some churches that have reopened and they've shut down due to a rise in COVID in their congregations. And we have to be aware of these kinds of things. So here are the 3 phases. The first phase is immediate. We want to open up certain areas of our building to small groups that desire to meet face-to-face. Now you ask the question, what's small? It's around 10 people. And we're not going to be legalistic about that number. So use common sense. 10 does not mean 100. But we're going to restrict it to certain areas of the building and no food is allowed. The second phase is going to happen on June 15th. We're going to open up GBC's facilities to larger groups. The example there is our Discovery Recovery group on Thursday nights. And again, there'll be restrictions in place. And we're going to ask that everyone be considered the guidelines that are in place for these kinds of things. The third phase then is July 5th. At 10:45 on Sunday morning, we will welcome everyone to come for face-to-face worship. And it's going to be a soft opening. There's going to be no Sunday school. There'll be limited or no kids programs. We're still working on those details. There will be restrictions in place, but we understand that not everyone will feel safe in a large meeting. Online streaming will still continue at the rate it has now. So we ask that we all be considerate of everyone. How you greet, don't hug someone who doesn't want hugged, and things will be different. But more details will follow that opening on July 5th. But this is the plan for the next 2 months. And details are being worked out, so please don't call the office and bug Carol or Mary Ellen asking for specifics, and we'll communicate that later when we have them. And we'll be constantly reevaluating. This plan is fluid. But we do ask for continued prayers as we seek to be Christ in our communities. And I thank you, and may God bless you.